This Toro Power Shovel, it stopped working. Basically, this is all screws. You just need a Phillips screwdriver to just pull all this stuff apart. It's just literally, you got to take the gear thing out, take this off, and then there's some screws in here. This all comes off. You got to take these screws off. There's one hidden under here which comes out. It wasn't working. So what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if the brushes against the commutator down here are not making contact. So I'm going to take this. I can get to the top one. So just get in here, Alan, and just kind of just make sure it's not stuck by lifting up on it. See how I'm lifting up? Can you see what I'm doing here?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Like that. I just lift it up. Make sure the commutator moves. And it looks like we have to take this motor off here. There's a couple screws in here. This is a 5/16. Take these out. Hopefully I can spin this motor around. Take the screw up here. Let me pull back a little bit out. Phillips. Take this thing out. You get a shot down in there of that other brush. You see it?
Yep.
So I'm just going to wiggle that guy like that. And it looks like that one was stuck. So I have high hopes that this will work. So I'm going to bolt this back together. The graphite on the brushes should keep it lubricated, so you don't want to put anything on there like grease, because that will damage. Well, stop making contact is what will happen, and your motor just simply won't work. And screw this back in here. Strap back on. Down out of there. Right. Back down. I have it's a computer cord. I'm just going to stick it in here. This is really not a safe thing to do, but I don't care. We'll test it here real quick. Stick this guy in there. See what happens. I tried it before. It didn't work. So what's that? Look at that. All right. So the brushes was stuck. This is probably a very common problem with these things. You just have to literally get in here and just move them, and hopefully they'll unsuck. If you jiggle them a few times, it'll free it up. And after that, I'm just going to bolt this thing back together, and hopefully it'll last for a while. One other thing I wanted to say, at the bottom of this handle, these wires were wire nutted to the motor coming down the handle. They were on there tightly, but I read somewhere that someone else had found one that had come off, so that would be something to check too. So if yours just doesn't work at all, that could be the problem as well. I just wanted to do a quick reassembly on this thing. This goes in here like this. This bolt goes into this, and you tighten that up. Just gonna finger tighten that for the moment, just like that. Over here, this guy goes into this little socket here. This goes up on here with this spring in the hole. It's a belt tensioner, and then you just put the belt on there like that. It's just bolted back together. It's really simple, so there's nothing to it. There's a little shaft here that goes in this end too. There it is reassembled. This 3 bolts. This comes off. This comes out. You take the bolt off the other side. This hole comes out. Then there's, I guess, 9 screws in here. 3, 3, and 3. I took this thing off. You probably don't have to. I don't know. And this hole comes apart, and then you just have to take these face bolts. I'm sorry, they're on the back actually. You have to take these bolts out of the back, and it all comes apart. So it's a pretty easy fix. And I suspect a lot of people that have the same problem, that's what the issue was, when it just completely dies. What made me suspect that the brushes weren't touching the motor was I put continuity with my meter. I tested here to here and then pulled the trigger, and I got nothing, which tells me that there was no current flowing through the motor. So that's what made me suspect the brushes. I also could have been the switch. I did take this apart and tested the switch. The switch was okay. This is just these screws here, and it pops off, and you can just test the continuity on the switch in there. It wasn't the switch. I should, now that we've got it all back together here, let me just plug this stupid thing in here. Hard to do with one hand. And look at that. It works. I think this is for what this thing is, it works fine for clearing my deck. I don't use it for my yard. I have a bigger snowblower for that. But for the deck, it works great.